Hi YouTube, this is Raven. I'm a survivor of a 16-year marriage to a covert narcissist, and now I'm in a high conflict divorce from a covert narcissist. And in one of my videos, I talked about my narcissistic in-laws. And one of the things that my narc in-laws used to do that didn't make sense to me is that, they thought that they were the smartest people in the room. They were very sophisticated, very worldly, but yet they would fall for scams. And that didn't make sense to me. Because especially sometimes narcissists are very smart. And my narcissistic husband was the same way. He would fall for, just scams that, that he shouldn't be falling for if he's a smart person. So when I started researching narcissistic personality disorder, I wanted to see if, if this is a pattern that narcs sometimes are gullible. And I went on Sam Vaknin's website. Sam Vaknin is an awesome resource if you're researching narcissistic personality disorder. He's an expert on narcs. And he says on his website, narcissists are prone to magical thinking. They hold themselves immune to the consequences of their actions or inactions, and therefore beyond punishment and the laws of man. Narcissists are easily persuaded to assume unreasonable risks and expect miracles to happen. They often find themselves on the receiving end of investment scams, for instance. Now, that was my narcissistic in-laws to a T. And they fell for a real estate investment scam, or would have if I hadn't intervened. And what happened was that they had to sell their home. They claimed that his dad was retiring from county government. Well, in actuality, he had been fired. And they had two homes. They had a vacation home and the $350,000 home they were living in, and they couldn't afford both, so they had to sell this one. And the realtor that they hired, she was old as dirt, and very incompetent. And, I really think that, when the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock, she was probably there with, her real estate sign and brochures. It's like, I got some wigwams we can go see. But, she didn't generate any traffic for their home, and, months went by. She took horrible pictures of the home. It looked terrible on MLS. So I can see why nobody wanted to see the house. And then all of a sudden we get a call from his mom. We sold the house. We got a full price offer sight unseen. We have to be out in 10 days. Yeah, that's how she talked. And I said, well, that's good. You sold it in 10 days. Can't you rent the house back from the people? Oh, no. It's from a doctor from London, England, who wants our house. He paid full price and didn't even see the house. And he's going to wire money straight to our accounts. He doesn't want to use lawyers or banks or real estate agents. We're just going to cut out the middleman. He's going to wire the money to our account. And he's going to wire more than what we're asking for, because he wants us to take the money and put it in an American bank account for him, so he'll have moving expenses. And I remember telling her, this is the Nigerian prince scam. Well, what's that? So I had to research it, and present them with information that this is the classic Nigerian prince scam, where the Nigerian prince contacts you via email or whatever and wants you to take his money and park his money in your bank account, and then, you'll wire some of the money back to him, and then you get to keep the rest. You'll be a millionaire. Well, they didn't believe me, and, they said, we'll have to turn this over to our lawyers to see what our lawyers say. Well, of course, it was a scam. But, it fed into their egos that they had, a beautiful home. They were so successful and rich that anyone would want their home. Well, my husband also fell for scams. And the biggest scam that he fell for was that the income tax is illegal, and you don't have to pay income taxes because the 16th Amendment was never properly ratified. Now, did he come to this conclusion because he did research? He researched tax law, or he talked to a tax accountant or attorney, or, researched the Constitution? No. He got this off of a radio program on an AM station in the afternoon, listening to a guest on the show named Irwin Schiff. And Irwin Schiff eventually did time in a federal prison and died in a federal prison for evading income taxes. And he wrote a book called The Federal Mafia: Why the Income Tax is Illegal. And, my husband bought this hook, line, and sinker. And it really fit into his ego because he thought that, this was hidden knowledge that not everyone knows about. If America would just wake up and see what's going on around them, they would see that our government's lying to us and they're taking advantage of us. And, the sheeple, the sheeple, that he used to call people, if they would just wake up and see what's going on, Well, of course, it isn't secret knowledge, it's just a scam. And, I was really worried that the government was going to take our house or, worse. And of course, they did eventually put a lien on our house. And, he would not back down. He was going to continue in this. And, it was finally, I had to take a job as a transcriptionist to pay back what we owed to the IRS. And even to this day, I don't think that he will admit that he was wrong. That he just thinks the government's oppressing him. Because the income tax really is illegal, but he just didn't have the right legal angle for it. And his parents also fell for other scams like he did, like in 2008 when Barack Obama was elected president. All of a sudden they freaked out because he was the Antichrist and the end of the world was coming, martial law was coming, and for that Christmas his parents gave us bug out bags. And what a bug out bag is, it's a bag that has food and water and medical supplies and, batteries, flashlights, whatever, if you have to leave your house for, in a moment's notice. And I remember my sister-in-law sitting there asking, where are we going? Why do we need bug out bags? And, my in-laws, my mother-in-law, like, the end of the world is coming. It's the sign of the end times. I mean, everything with her was, it's a sign of the end times. Well, of course, the end of the world has not come yet. And Barack Obama is still president. But, in their minds, and in my narc's mind, the end of the world was coming. He even had me buy, a year's worth of food, because the dollar was going to crash. And we were going to need food because you wouldn't be able to buy and sell anything. And, that was one of the reasons he had gold and silver coins in our safe, besides hiding money from the government, that, that we were going to have to use gold to buy things. Well, the last time I went to a convenience store, they didn't ask for gold coins, when I bought gas. They wanted, check card or cash. Well, so if you're in a high conflict divorce from a narcissist, you have to remember that they're prone to magical thinking, like what Sam Vaknin says, that they're going to create a scenario in their mind, a narrative, that where they're the victim or they're the hero, you're the antagonist. They're the protagonist of their story. And I think sometimes they tell themselves these lies so much that they start to believe them and it becomes their reality. And Sam Vaknin talks about that too, that sometimes they accept their own lies and it becomes their reality. So they believe their own lies that they're telling about you, that you are abusive, you're manipulative, you lied. Maybe you cheated on them, even though they cheated on you, but they've changed the story around now to make them the hero. So you have to be careful that, if you're going through a divorce, get ready that they're going to make up some stuff about you. They're going to tell it to anybody and everybody that will believe them. It's that magical thinking, and, they're hoping that the person they're telling this to is going to be just as gullible as they are in their own mind. All right. That's all for now. Be vigilant, be safe, take care.